Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. See ebaymotors.com.
Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Welcome in to another edition of the JMU Sports News Podcast. My name is Bennett Conlon. I'm joined by Jack Fitzpatrick. Jack, how's it going? We're in late May.
Late May. It's a beautiful time. We're in postseason swing already, the way things are going on our end, but we got to keep it locked in. Baseball will likely be playing for a regional. We'll get into that later in the podcast. Bennett, I feel like I've never asked that question back to you. How are you doing on this fine Wednesday afternoon?
Great. Can't complain.
Evening.
That's good save.
Thank you. How's your Wi-Fi going to hold up? We feeling good about today, or we a little worried?
We're always worried.
Yeah, I'm always worried for you too. Here at the top, we talked about a little bit at the end of last podcast, but here at the top, just a quick reminder, keep it locked on our Twitter, JMU Sports News, our website, jmusportsnews.com, with it being kind of the off season, not fully, but baseball. We'll of course have coverage of baseball for every big thing that happens with them. But as we get more and more into the off season, our podcast will probably become less weekly, more bi-weekly, and we'll continue doing it that way. Streams might be, instead of every podcast, the streams might become once a month, something like that. So just keep it locked with our Twitter at JMU Sports News and with our website at jmusportsnews.com. And if there's anything you want to see over the offseason, if there's anything you want us to change going into the football season, feel free to DM us. Feel free to email us, jmusportsnews@gmail.com. All of that great stuff. I think that's about it on the housekeeping front.
That's exactly right.
Thank you so much. Do you want to dive into the first topic of today?
Yeah, we have some really important topics, such as JMU football.
JMU football. Quick ad break to let you guys know that BetOnline is your number one source for the NBA and NHL playoffs this season. Every stat, every matchup, and even live odds while the games are being played. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our over 150 slots games. Head to the website today to get in on all of the action. Don't forget to use promo code BELIEVE for a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's promo code BLEAV to get a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. When you use promo code BELIEVE and you deposit $100, BetOnline will hook you up with a $50 welcome bonus. BetOnline, the game starts here. Sorry, I forgot to make a lower third. You want me to pose this question to you?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so the framework for this question, for how we're starting today's podcast, who is under the most pressure going into this next JMU football season? You pick three people you kind of put under the microscope, you're putting a little bit of pressure on, you think is under their own pressure. I pick three for myself as well. So in total, there should be about 6 people we're about to name that's under pressure going in to the JMU football season. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. Number one, who is your, it doesn't have to be most pressure. Who's under pressure for this year?
I don't think there's too much pressure for anyone.
Boring.
I think the most pressure was probably right for almost every team is going to be the head coach. So I think Bob Chesney's the obvious answer. Inheriting a program that won a lot, he has a background of winning a lot. we talked about the schedule being easy. So if anybody has pressure, I would say it's probably Bob Chesney, because I was talking here about anything less than 8-4, I would view as a huge failure. So I think, yeah, he probably has the most pressure to gel this transfer laden roster together and win 8, 9, 10 plus games.
Yeah, I think it's a really good one. And I think because I have Bob Chesney too. So for my third one, I'm going to have to throw a curveball on one of my little extras I put in. But I think we talk a lot about how great of a job JMU is, and it is. The culture, whatever that word means, has been set. The standard is quote unquote the standard. Everything like that. There is a expectation that you are going to be winning and winning a lot when you come to JMU. It happened. Everett Withers recreated that after a little bit of a lackadaisical or lackluster end of the Mickey Matthews era. Mike Houston continued it. Kurt Signetti really pushed it forward. And now it's an expectation that Bob Chesney is going to keep that going. But there's another side to that now, right? Like there is a fan base that expects to win. There's a fan base that will be very upset if you don't win and win at a high clip, if you're not in consideration for the college football playoff come November. So for me, Bob Chesney is under a ton of pressure because this was a guy that was being floated for some P5 jobs. Syracuse, namely, he was one of the names that was being floated around that one. He was always kind of floating around Boston College. Heck, when Boston College became available after he took the JMU job, there was rumors that he was going to head back up there for that job, or at least interview for it. That was quickly squashed, but you had all of this hype. If you kind of fall flat, all of a sudden you're in a really tough spot. New athletic director, Matt Rowan, let's say 2 seasons in, it's 2 lackluster seasons. What does he do? Is that the first big move he makes as an athletic director? And then all of a sudden, Bob Chesney goes from the next big thing to who? And I think that's a lot of pressure.
Definitely some pressure.
Thank you. All right, you ready for my first one?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll throw a completely random name at you. Chris Smith, the offensive line and run game coordinator, the offensive line coach and the run game coordinator. I wanted to say the offensive line as a whole.
I think that's fair.
The offensive line as a whole was under a lot of pressure, but I felt like that was a cop-out. So I went with their coach instead. This is an offensive line that's coming off of a 2023 where they were next to last. You're going to love this in rush EPA, in rush expected. So every time JMU rushed the football, you could look up to the scoreboard and see negative 0.135 points come off the scoreboard every single time. Average just 3.9 yards per touch. Plus side, this is an offensive line that's returning nearly everyone. They lost Tyler Stevens. They lost Nick Kidwell. Played majority of the season last year without Kidwell, though, due to injury. They returned Tyshawn Wyatt. They returned Cole Potch, Josh Toner, Carter Sweezy, Tanner Morris, a bunch of those guys. Experienced group. That brings with it, though, some high expectations. And after underperforming so much last year, and whether that was underperforming due to play on the field, a lack of continuity, lackluster blocking schemes, running backs not going where they're supposed to go, I'm not entirely sure. All I know is that run game has to take a step forward, and I think it starts with the guys on the line. You got Io Adei, you got George Pettaway, Tyler Purdy, these guys that themselves, it's a really good stable of running backs. They want to and are expected to perform very, very highly this upcoming season. And it comes down to Chris Smith. How can he put together this offensive line? He's coming from the NFL. He's taking a step backward in his career, going from assistant offensive line coach with the New York Giants, where they too finished next to last and expected to rush. But for Chris Smith, I mean, that's a pretty big move going from the NFL back to the college ranks, not even the Power 5 ranks, the Group of 5 ranks. Am I crazy for thinking that Chris Smith is under some pressure here as the offensive line coach, replacing kind of this storied coach?
Run game can't be worse than last year, which I think helps him in terms of pressure, but there's sort of an expectation that the group is going to be really, really good this year.
Yeah.
So there is definitely pressure where I think fans are kind of just already penciling in like, hey, they're going to run the ball well. I kind of am too.
And that feels like there's some pressure there.
So I think there's pressure there. It's a fair pick for sure.
it because it just feels like last year we went into it. I remember on these podcasts, these off-season podcasts, when we were trying to figure storylines out, it was always like, yeah, the run game's going to be freaking awesome. Kalon Black is going to be the next coming of Walter Payton. And it just never panned out, whether it was for Kalon Black and Latrell Palmer, and I'm blanking on the rest of the running backs from a year ago.
Tyson
Lawton, who still has a magical year of eligibility that he's using in Indiana.
Played a lot of football.
He's played a lot of football. But whether it was them just not hitting the right holes, the blocking scheme not lining up, whatever it was a little lackluster. And I think Chris Smith has a tall task to replenish and get this offensive line back to where we expect it to be.
That's right.
All right, who's your next one?
Next one's a fascinating one, folks. I think it's JMU fans.
Whoa! This is a good one. All right.
There's a lot of pressure here. And this is a shout out to our guy, Ben Hofer, essentially. But the home slate is kind of lackluster. So you've got Gardner-Webb, Ball State, Coastal Carolina, but that game is on a Thursday. Southern Miss, Georgia State, and Marshall. I think that Marshall one, Thanksgiving's a little later, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that I might be wrong on that, actually. Maybe it's the App State game. Somebody fact check me on when Thanksgiving is. I'm going to fact check myself really quick.
I don't know when Thanksgiving is.
It's the 28th. That was correct. Haha. Okay, so it's the Marshall game's a good one, but it's like students will be home for Thanksgiving, so I don't know exactly what that crowd will look like.
Me and you will be there, and we'll be cheering for all the students.
So I think there's some pressure here on the fans, because if they do show out for kind of a meh home schedule with like your two most entertaining opponents out of that are Coastal and Marshall, and you've got one of them on a Thursday and one of them on the Saturday after Thanksgiving. If you show out and you pack Bridgeforth in those, the chatter about stadium expansion, it's going to be hard to quiet. I might find myself on board. So there's not actually it's not real pressure, right? Because like if there's 22,000 instead of 25, like whatever, it doesn't really matter. But in terms of like the people who want to expand, if you can sell out every game this year as the fans on that schedule with some of those weird quirks, I don't know. That's a pretty big deal for a group of 5 school. That's big time if they can sell it out every game.
Okay. I like that one. I thought you were going to go with like, if JMU has a lackluster season, how will JMU fans react? And the pressure is on them to not.
No, I think they'll react poorly, which is fine.
Okay. I thought it was like, okay. All right. I like that. So JMU fans, you're under pressure to show out this season so that you can continue your campaign to expand Bridgeforth.
Yeah, if you want to talk about like leading the G5s and being like the best of the best, a lot of it, right, is winning football games that you can't control as a fan. But some of it too is the atmosphere. That's part of what makes like Boise State really cool. Some of these other G5s show out with really great fan bases across different sports, right? App State home games are nuts.
Yeah.
They've got a bigger stadium. So if you can start to build that and stay through halftime, if your students build the culture, all that good stuff, I think it can go a long way towards cementing JMU status as like a premier group of 5 football team.
I like that pick. All right. Pick number 2 for me. Chauncey Logan.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
Chauncey Logan, freshman year, balled. 11 pass breakups. He had an interception, made 8 starts, played in 10 games, wasn't the day one starter as the corner. Gets moved to the field corner. Kind of a step up. This is a bigger task. And he performed well, but there were also some moments that Chauncey Logan got burned at times. He did have 7 pass breakups, an interception, crushed his tackle total, was a very, very good tackler this past season. But now you lose D'Angelo Pons. You lose everyone in the safety room. It's a very young, very new group to this secondary for JMU. He's the elder statesman. He entered the portal. He decided to come back. A lot of pressure on him. Probably didn't get the offers he necessarily wanted when he went into the portal. And now this is an opportunity for him to show out, show that all the teams that passed on him coming out of high school and all the teams that passed on him in the transfer portal got it wrong. And he can have a huge, huge season. We've also seen that cornerbacks from the group of 5 level, if they show out and shut down opponents, they have the ability to go in the first round. And I know we've been on this podcast saying that you can go to other schools, and like we've been very all over the place with our kind of draft talk about it. But at the end of the day, Quinyon Mitchell, Toledo, first round draft pick. Sauce Gardner, Cincinnati, first-round draft pick. If he shows out for 2 years at JMU, he could be a first-round draft pick. I think there's a lot of pressure there, and I think he's got to take that step forward. There's going to be a lot of expectations, a lot of hype around the rising junior. It's going to be big for Chauncey Logan in 2024.
That's a big pick. Good pick.
Nathan said there's some players like Travell Mullen who can step up and shine. Nakai Meredith, I believe he's left the program, or is that Antoine Booth?
I think Meredith's off the roster. I will double check that, but yeah, I remember one of the Power 5 corner transfers from a different season was no longer on the roster, and I think it was Meredith because I think Booth was still there as I scroll slowly to corners. Yeah, Meredith is not listed on the roster anymore, so not entirely sure what happened.
So Travell Mullen, Antoine Booth, those P5 guys, time to step up. All right, who's your number 3?
Yeah, that's a good question, right? Who is my number 3? I'm going to say it's Coach DeMichael.
You got the name right.
DeMichael. And I think part of this, too, when we talk about like pressure, I think the way this season is, I think fans are really optimistic right now. I think the team's really optimistic. I think the local media is probably pretty optimistic about their chances. Like everything seems like it's looking up, even though there was sort of a tumultuous offseason with the coaching change and the portal stuff. But they have a really good roster. They have a really good coaching staff. So I think when you look at like pressure, you could also frame it the other way where it's like a huge opportunity. And sort of that's how I view it for Coach DeMichael. The safeties last year I thought were pretty disappointing as a whole.
Yeah.
They haven't added anyone to my knowledge that's like a true safety. They've added a bunch of defensive backs in the portal, but a lot of them have a background playing corner. So I don't know if they think some of them can move to safety, which is possible. So maybe there's some positional versatility there that we'll find out about. But right now it's like Jacob Thomas and a bunch of really young dudes. If that position group plays very well, I think Coach DeMichael becomes a rising star in the eyes of JMU fans pretty quickly. He's also the recruiting coordinator, and they've done a really nice job recruiting high school kids, I think, and then also in the portal. So I think Coach DeMichael, there's pressure certainly for the safeties to perform, but it also feels like just a huge opportunity for him. If the safeties play well and they keep recruiting the way that they have and identifying talent the way that they have, where I think the one commit in the 2025 class who had like FCS offers when he committed to JMU is now getting like South Florida gave him an offer, Purdue gave him an offer. So they did a nice job getting in early there. I think Coach DeMichael could quickly become one of those like Tino Sunseri types where JMU fans hold them in that kind of regard.
I love it. I love that pick.
Thanks.
It's a good one, man.
Yeah. A lot of pressure out there.
A lot of pressure.
Who's your third?
All right. I have 3 others because you already used Bob Chesney. We talked about Bob Chesney. True. I got 3 others. I'm going to just kind of got Dylan Morris.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Mainly, but I already went a player, so I don't know. But I mean, one had a really good year at Washington, not so great second year with Jimmy Lake. Something that I think is being kind of underreported is the fact that he's played his entire football career from Pee Wee to college in Washington State. From Puyallup, went to UW, played there, was the perfect teammate by all accounts, backing up Michael Penix, then decides to go across the country. I feel like that adds a lot of pressure. I believe there's just so much to it. The family stuff to it, the play time. Are you trying to go to the NFL to the next level? Like everything there is to it. There's so much pressure there. Jeff Bourne. I feel like he's under a lot of pressure in his retirement time. Look, what if does he get any heat if this? I know it's a surefire, can't fail hire. But what if it fails? Does he get any heat?
I think because he's gone, I think it would almost all the attention would go to Matt Rohn and sort of like, what are you gonna do, man? Like what's happening? Like college athletics is blowing up. We're not winning the way we were. Like figure it out. So I think Bourne's just like good to go.
So you think that pressure that would go to Bourne is just going to go to Rohn, but not like angry pressure, but more so pressure like, hey, bro, what are we doing?
I also think since it was such a like on paper, Chesney makes so much sense that Bourne getting like if Bourne had hired like just an out of left field like random assistant who has never been a head coach
Biff
from
Poggi.
Yeah, he goes out and hires a random person. They stink. I think people will be like, why? Like, what are you thinking? But I think the Chesney and Spradlin hires both look very good on paper. And now that he's out the door chilling at a lake house, I think he's probably okay.
All right. And the last one that I have who's under a lot of pressure, the collective, NIL as a whole. If these players ball out, you got to find the money to retain them. You got to find the money to keep them. Or you're doing this all again next year.
Collective's a great one. I think we went through the schedule maybe last week or the week before, and we talked about how November seems like the hardest chunk. I would say like the Duke Club too, and athletic director, everybody's sort of high up in the athletic department. If you're starting like 7-0, like you gotta be getting cash. So there's some pressure there because I think right if Chesney lives up to his hype and Dylan Morris looks good and they, Chris Smith's coaching up the O-line well. They're all clicking on us. Chauncey Logan's making plays. DeMichael's recruiting. He's got the safeties balling out. You got to get some cash.
You got to get cut because Chauncey Logan's going to take some cash if you're trying to keep him for his senior year.
Yeah, because they already just had to keep him.
Exactly. And you heard Nick Saban on the NFL Draft. They were trying to get Quinyon Mitchell before he even entered the portal. And he never entered the portal. Just it blatantly admitting to tampering.
JMU's got a bunch of dudes on the roster that feel like if they play the way I think they're capable of, like Power 5 schools will be on the phone in October.
All right. I have a question for you.
Okay.
And this just came to me as I was doing a little research for that segment. Jersey numbers. What are your thoughts on them? Do you like when a great edge rusher is 99?
I'm cool with 99. I think for the D line, you give me something in the 90s, we're good to go. You give me something in the single digits, we're good to go. It's when guys get out there and they're trying to rock something in like the 70s.
Yeah, okay.
Something. I guess really any D-line number I'm good with for the most part because I just feel like they have good picks. Offensive line, don't care about your number, kind of boring. Quarterbacks will throw me off. Like Virginia was rolling out quarterback wide receivers when I was covering them. They're putting like number 99, Keaton Thompson at quarterback, and I was like, you stop. They were doing snaps in 99, 98. They got a weird jersey process at Bronco Mendenhall. You got to earn your jersey number in the offseason. And they do a whole draft. Yeah, it's great for the spring game when you're trying to cover them. And you don't know who anybody is.
But like, I was like Eric O'Neal's 99, the LIU edge rusher transfer that you love.
Don't like it?
I love that.
Oh, okay.
I saw that and I was like, hell yeah, 99. That just means he's about business.
That's right.
He stands on business, But like, I hate when a running back is like 45. That number just like looks slow.
Yeah, 40. That's a tough one. That's a good call for running backs. So George Pettaway, 6, fast.
7 would be faster.
Adai's got 7.
See, 7's faster. 6 is almost too blocky. I would prefer him to go like 21.
Okay.
I just pulled 21 out of nowhere. But like I was looking up Antoine Wells for the blind rankings. Mm-hmm. When he was wearing 81, just looked slow.
You thought he looked slow? I feel like 81's like a classic receiver number.
It was in the 90s, but we're in 2024.
That's interesting. Yeah. Dylan Williams is 88. I feel like high 80s. 88 looks sick though.
88 does look sick.
Yeah.
I bet Des Bryant and Michael Irvin are his, and CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, that's fair. There's no 82 on the roster, no 87, no 86, no 84. So yeah, maybe that is true with the receivers. Let me find all the receiver numbers and just read them to you.
Because like here, I want you high 80s if you're a receiver, or single digits or teens.
That's basically what they do. All right, so you got 0, 1, 2, 8, 9, 13, 16, 19, 21.
21 for a receiver? I don't like it. That's your Yamir Knight, isn't it?
No, it's Chris Lofton. Yamir Knight's got 0, which I love. Just
love that
player.
Love that for a receiver.
That makes a lot of sense. 83 for Eric Harris and then 88 for Dylan Williams.
That's fine, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you say one of them was 85?
No 85.
That's a tight end number though. Yeah, I like it when
Jordan Funk's got 85 at tight end.
I love when a tight end's like 45, 49, 47.
Yeah, Zach Gordon throwing up or was he 44?
Something like that. Okay, I just wanted to get your take on numbers, if like they impacted you at all.
They definitely change how I look at, especially if you're playing well, or if you're playing poorly and you got like, if you're like a safety and you're not playing well and you got you're like 36 or something.
number.
I'm like, what are we doing? This is a special teams guy.
Very fair, very fair. Now, if you're wearing 31, Cam Chancellor's number, great number.
I feel like I can get behind any number if you're balling out.
That's a good point. I can also turn on you pretty quickly
and then number. Quarterback, I get weird about quarterback numbers.
What numbers don't you like for quarterbacks?
Some of the ones in the teens I just hate.
17?
17, like
18. 18's Peyton Manning.
But that, like, nobody's living up to Peyton Manning. They're wearing 18, and like, when's the last time it'll probably be somebody obvious, like a college guy was balling out in 18. What did Keelan Williams wear?
Be hilarious if it's 18.
USC. No, he was 18. Like, no, he was. I got him at 13. He's 18 now, so he must have been 18 at USC, right? Let me find an image.
No, I think he was 13 at USC.
He was 13. He was 13. He's got 18 now.
Okay, few.
Brutal. Okay, who else is good?
Todd Centeio.
I feel like
this is what everyone comes with a podcast for. Just
typing. He was 1.
I like 1. Cam
Bradley was 2, right?
Yep.
Shore was 17, so not 18.
17's all right. What was Ben DiNucci?
He was a single digit, wasn't he?
Caleb Williams was 18 in high school. Nova knows ball. 18 in high school, 13.
Yeah, he was. DiNucci was 6 at JMU, and then 1 with or 7 with Dallas, I guess.
Mr. Nobody 711 69 offensive linemen have aura.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Do you remember Jordan Gross, an offensive lineman for the Carolina Panthers?
Was he 69?
He was 69, and his last name was Gross.
That's good. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Sorry, that went on longer than I was expecting. If somebody can tell me of like a good recent college quarterback with 18, I would appreciate it.
Yeah, if you know a good recent 18 college quarterback or like a weird number quarterback that succeed, like Teddy Bridgewater when he was 55 for that one preseason game for the Lions, let us know. Now, ready for blind rankings wide receiver edition?
Yeah, why not?
Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. See ebaymotors.com.
My buddy Kyle here is going to help me tell you about Corteva
and
the power of
and
you see, Intrepid Edge insecticide combines fast knockdown
and
lasting residual activity for proven results.
And
it has 2 modes of action that deliver effective control against robbing insects like leaf miners
and
armyworms
and
corn borers
and
loopers
and
oh, lunchtime. Thanks, Kyle.
And
visit intrepidedge.corteva.us to learn more.
I forgot to do this last week. I need your full undivided attention.
Sorry, I was looking up Jaden Daniels' number.
All right.
5. Wait, no, is that now? But okay, 5. Yeah, cool.
Okay. So, blind rankings wide receiver edition. I'm just going to list off 5 wide receivers. Bennett won't know which name is coming next, and he'll have to list them without knowledge of what's coming next.
Okay.
Wide receiver number 1, former JMU greats, Antoine Wells Jr.
Third.
That's wrong. You want to know something crazy about Antoine Wells Jr. now that you've ranked him at 3rd?
He has the record for most touchdowns in a single season among JMU receivers. He's in the top 10 in yardage despite only playing 22 games. And I think he's tied with Chris Thornton for most catches in a season.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, he has some crazy stats.
If he played his final 2 years of
Would it
eligibility,
have even been close?
if he had played just 2 more years with JMU, not even his 3 years he was allotted
Yeah.
because he has the COVID year. So if he just played 2 more years at JMU, he would have finished his career with 3,873 receiving yards, which is nearly 1,000 more than the current first place wide receiver.
That was on his like career pace.
That was on his, he was averaging 84 yards per game in his first 22 games.
And he was cooking that last season. Like he
Yeah.
got better and he seemed like he's balling in the S. Like he would have put up absurd numbers.
God. So you have Antoine Wells at third. Okay.
I've got him third just because part of the thing is that he transferred, right? So
Yeah.
I think that hurts his all-time ranking a little bit in my book.
That's a good point. Number 2, Chris Thornton.
Thornton's a tough one. I'm going to put him. I might have botched. I'll put him at 4. I'm going to put him at 4.
Thornton's a tough one. I didn't realize just how productive he was during his 3 years as a JMU player.
He was so good.
He was very good.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we don't appreciate what Chris Thornton did enough. Not only did he tear up FCS defenses, he tore up FBS defenses and became Centeo's favorite target.
I think that's the important point for him is he balled out there.
Gary Clark.
Gary Clark's got to go 1, right? Really good in college, obviously. But then the NFL career kind of puts it over the top when you're looking at, I think he was like a 4-time All-Pro, 2-time Super Bowl champ. I think he's the first JMU football player with their number retired or something. Like he's good. And the pro career matters.
Yeah, I agree. Like Charles Haley's probably the greatest JMU football player ever.
Yeah.
Because for a long time, he was the only ever player to have 5 Super Bowl rings.
Right.
All right. David McLeod.
Yeah, I'm gonna put McLeod at, is it McLeod or McLeod? Who knows?
I'm gonna go with McLeod, but it could be McLeod.
I was researching today, so I don't get flamed. And I went back and forth with the pronunciation. I was like Googling stuff. I'm gonna put him 2nd.
Okay, so he was
consistent.
He's first in career receiving yards.
Really, really solid. I think the other thing that's so hard about all of these positions, and we were super recent for, I guess we were pretty recent for running backs and quarterbacks, but the game has changed so much that it impacts receivers a lot more than like running backs. Like Mickey Matthews loved to run the ball. So you could argue like modern running backs have a harder time reaching some of those stats. They were not throwing the ball the way they throw the ball now. Like Chris Thornton, very, very good. Also beneficiary of like
dropping back 30 times a game.
Pass heavy scheme where he was the number 1 target and they're scheming stuff to get him open.
So the last guy, he's going to be third. He's going to be
5th
on your list. Kind of a slight to Ernest Payton.
That's a tough one. Maybe you put Thornton down below. Ernest Payton did some good stuff. I thought you might go with Macy Brooks.
I was thinking Macy Brooks.
But yeah, Ernest Payton had some great stuff.
Ernest Payton leads all JMU players in career receptions. He played from 1997 to 2000. Like you said, a time period when you just weren't throwing it more than 20 times a game. So that means he was getting at least 10 to 15 targets a game. And we weren't watching 97 to 2000 football. So if you're a listener and you were watching JMU football during that time period, let us know about Ernest Payton, because was the team just funneling 90% of their targets to this guy? That is a lot of targets to get that many receptions to still lead it in 2024.
That's a lot. That's a lot. I think you can make a pretty good case that if you're re-ranking it, I could listen to you putting Payton at anywhere from like 3 to 5. But you could, if you want to move him up, you could. Thornton, I think, probably belongs at, no, his stats are nuts.
I think, okay, so if you're going off of JMU stats, I think Wells is actually 5th.
I could see that. I think it's the challenge with the Wells ranking is how much you're viewing like overall talent, because like he's going to play in the NFL.
I think Antoine Wells is the most talented JMU wide receiver ever.
He had like the best individual like his 2021 when he had the most receiving yards in program history, most touchdowns in program history, and then tied for the most catches in program history.
Yeah.
Just gross.
And if he stays all 4 years, he's the undisputed best, arguably, if you're looking at JMU career only, Antoine Wells, if he used all 5 years of his time in college, would have gone down as the best JMU player ever, regardless of position, regardless of anything. I truly believe that.
And so his first season was 2020, right?
Yeah, so they played 8 games. That didn't count.
And the quarterback situation was kind of trash in 2020, right?
Yes.
They went between Johnson and Maloney and had COVID issues and was kind of gross offensively, especially in the first half of the year. And then if like the defense doesn't collapse, he gets a national championship game where he has a chance to show out. That could have been something against Sam Houston. I guess special teams maybe collapse more than the defense in that one, but
a lot of what ifs with Antoine Wells. And then to start 2021, he was kind of banged up and injured. And then he got healthy and like took off at the end of 2021. So it's just like he played 22 games. 8 of them were with who at quarterback. And let's say another 4 of them, he was playing with an injured, what was it? Hamstring or oblique or something?
I think it's some ankle stuff too.
Ankle
or at least he's had ankle stuff in South Carolina. Yeah, but he's been banged up a bit. But the other thing too, right, is he did play with Thornton. I think is in 2021, right? Where they overlap.
Actually, per my numbers, they both played in 2020 and 2021 at JMU.
Okay, both years. 2021, like Wells was clearly the number 1 option.
Yes.
So if you're ranking, it's hard to rank Thornton ahead when it's like they played together, and this dude was just better. So, so I think that's part of like my thought process. But yeah, you could go almost anywhere, except I think putting Clark anywhere other than 1.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. All right. That's a fun one though. Here's a question for you.
Hit me.
As we move through blind rankings. Do we even attempt offensive line?
No.
Okay.
I'm so sorry to the offensive line lovers out there.
There's nothing.
There's no stats.
Yeah.
Maybe you go off of like the 2021 offensive line, like just as complete units.
Even then, we would be down.
But like
the knowledge, yeah, that's a hard one. You'd have to bring on a real expert.
Just looking forward at the potential positions that are going to come through these blind rankings, we're going to do an edge rusher / defensive lineman coming up, but that will probably lean more to ends and edges
stats
than defensive tackles. Like Mike Green was great, but he doesn't show up in any records.
Right.
Corners, maybe corner safety duo. I don't know. Like, I feel like we've run out of some of the fun skill positions to do it. Like, we probably won't do a tight end. What are we going to compare?
It's tough. We could even just lump in like defenders if we want to really get crazy with ourselves.
Ooh, that might actually give us more content.
Could do a punter.
Ooh. Harry O'Kelly
versus Ryan Hansen. Yeah. Hansen could go down as an all-time great.
Hansen is going to go down as an all-time great.
Fair enough.
Camden Wise, Ethan Radke.
We've had a lot of pretty good kickers recently.
Yeah. Remember when we all didn't like Wise and then he like went on a heater?
Yeah, it was like, he's not that guy. And it was just like,
yeah, and then I was like, oh, he's that guy.
All right, yeah, whatever.
Fine. All right. Moving on. You want to talk baseball real quick? Do you want to talk about their chances at getting an at-large bid right now? That it's 8:13, so they are about 43 minutes into their first round game in the Sun Belt tournament.
I don't think it's even started yet because it's 8:30 Eastern.
Oh, my fault. I got everything.
But I think the game before him took forever too, so it might be like a late start.
Ross Orr 11 said Scott F. in Norwood. Wide right, baby. Wide right.
Also played soccer.
He did. A great soccer player too.
That helps him out. Baseball, I think if they win one game, they might be good.
You think just one game?
I think one could do it based on some of their numbers, especially if the losses aren't ugly. Maybe you get 2 wins, but they're right there, man. As long as I feel like if they don't go winless, they got a chance.
currently 43rd in the RPI.
Nice.
Their only opportunities for a quad 1 loss will be against Coastal or that's it. Their only quad 1 loss could come against Coastal.
Louisiana would be quad 1, wouldn't they? They got to have the best RPI.
Yeah, you're right. They didn't play him this year. My bad. What I'm looking at, dude, I can't show you my screen.
Did they? I thought they did play Louisiana. No, you're right.
No, they did not.
I don't know why I thought they did. So
I want to get a Sun Belt grouping, but the stats.ncaa.org does not give that to you. So Louisiana or Coastal, Troy would be a quad 2 loss since they are currently 54th in the RPI.
Yeah.
That game is also dangerously close.
It's
to
like
moving
they
to a
do
quad
bracket
2.
instead of pool play, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. ACC always throws me off with their pool play. But they get Georgia Southern today, which I think that's quad 2. They're like 68th or something.
They are 66th, which would be a quad 2 game. Yes.
Fine. Good win opportunity there.
Yep.
And then I think if they win, they probably get Louisiana, the way the bracket shapes out.
Which would probably be a loss.
But that's not going to kill you.
No, that's
Great
a quad 1 loss.
They got Donovan Burke ready to go.
I love the game 2 starter putting Donovan Burke there.
Yeah. It would be not like a colossal disappointment. It would be a little mini choke job if they don't get in.
Do you think they can do you think if they lose 2, they don't get in?
I think then it's like coin toss.
Okay. Should be fun.
If they get 1, I think they got a good chance. And then I've seen a few projections of them in the Charlottesville regional. With
We going?
EA, which would be really cool. I think I'll be out of town, but it would be really cool for them to play them because there'd be some purple there. But even more so, I've seen them a lot. It's like the 3 seed, the 2-3 game, depending on like the 2. I've seen West Virginia, and then I've seen. Oh, do you just drop Louisiana? They're gonna win this thing. Auto bid. That is
what were you saying?
Massive. I don't even know. Oh, if it's in Charlottesville and they're the 3-2 game or whatever, I think could be very purple. Right, because UVA fans, not all of them are going to go watch the other teams play.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Because they play them all right in.
Yeah.
In Charlotte, they're not going to
I
they
thought
could just play it in Harrisonburg. It's so close.
I thought you were saying the 3-2 game would be a lot of purple because like they'd be playing ECU.
Oh, no. No, I just think the team won't be as close.
Yeah. Do you follow college baseball outside of JMU very closely?
A little bit, yeah.
Did you hear about how it happened to ECU's pitcher, their ace?
No.
Trey Yesevich, I think that's how you pronounce his last name, was in the hospital with a collapsed lung, and they're not going to be able to have him for the American Athletic Conference tournament.
What happened?
His status moving forward for this season is questionable. They didn't really give a lot of information. They just said he's in a hospital with a collapsed lung.
That's brutal.
Scary stuff. You know what we also didn't even talk about in this podcast?
Lacrosse, or did we do
Scotty
that?
Scheffler being arrested.
Did Lacrosse lose last time? Is that what happened? I'm really blank.
Yes. Yeah. We talked lacrosse.
They've lost a while ago. You're right. Yeah, Scotty, we should talk about that for a moment. Press conference tomorrow, Thursday morning, or noon, or I can't remember what it was. But Louisville Police Department, some sort of presser. I wonder if.
What do you think they're going to say?
I don't know. They claim to have some like video stuff.
Okay.
It feels like you gotta drop the charges unless there's something we're all missing.
I can't believe it.
Hear about the pants though?
$80 gone, man.
Damaged beyond repair. One of the craziest things I've ever seen. And then I still don't understand. The officer was attached himself to the vehicle, it said, and then was dragged. Why would you attach yourself to the vehicle?
Also, the way that makes it sound like is that Scotty Scheffler was going like 100 miles an hour and like he just grabbed on at the last minute and was pulled. Yeah. He probably could have just like walked quickly next to the car at the speed he was like he probably just held on. We'll figure it out with this video that's going to resurface. But like,
it was also dark and rainy, so we'll see what the video is because the body cam wasn't on.
Convenient.
What a hilarious story. But then attaching, I was thinking that Scotty's car had like a belt loop or something, like latching on with something. I was like, how do you attach yourself to a vehicle?
I thought he like threw a fishing hook. and like caught Scotty in the mouth. And
Well, I also, because the
tried to reel
information
him
was
in.
coming out kind of slow,
Yeah.
and it was like he got arrested, and I was like, that seems weird. And then I saw like Schefter was like tweeting out all the charges. I was like, wow, Scotty must have lost his mind trying to beat up a cop. And then you hear like people talk about it, and they're like, yeah, I don't know what happened. It didn't make any sense. It was like, oh, all right.
Yeah, I woke up to a push notification that was like Scheffler arrested in the early mornings, and I was like, "Oh no, was he drunk driving? Is this a Tiger Woods 2.0?" No,
Instead, he was just
trying to get in.
Yeah. I'm excited to see whatever the video is, because I bet it's gonna be just like grainy and dark, and then be like, see?
I love Jeff. This conversation has also gone on so long for JMU Sports Podcast. I love the Jeff Darlington hits with like the severe bags under his eyes. Like, this man hasn't slept in 4 days. So I was like, this man's getting after it to give us Scotty Scheffler coverage. NFL Insider, no. PGA Tour Scotty Scheffler Insider.
I also love how he was there. It just happened to be like conveniently there, and then was like even going to the cops. Was like, "What are you doing?" Like that's his video. Is like, guys, like, what are you doing? And they're like, nothing we can do.
Everyone's
Going
like,
to jail.
awesome coverage from Jeff Darlington. What a great job by him. No, he just happened to arrive at the right time, which I know like half of it.
99% luck, right? That he's like the car behind or whatever, and then they go around to him and they're like, "Oh, that's Scotty Scheffler. Get out and film."
Do you
Yeah, that's
imagine
not
what?
like- yeah,
Imagine what this coverage would be like if Darlington wasn't the car behind him and instead it was like Colin Morikawa.
just like he said, she said, yeah. Like there's no firsthand account. Yeah, that's tough. Seems tough for Detective Gillis and company to have like a car of reporters being like, "That's not what we saw." Oh,
All right. Moving on from all of that, all the Scotty Scheffler talk brought to you by the JMU Sports News Podcast. You know what I didn't do? I have to put it in now and post. Bet online ad.
oh man,
I'll
that's
have to
all right.
I'll have to record it and put it back in the.
Let me fire some listener questions at you.
Oh, I was going to ask you. Okay.
Okay. Just give me just a second. We only have a couple. Daniel Merriman, dream out of conference matchups for JMU men's basketball next season, and then excitement level on the quote unquote announced women's basketball games and tournament. Sounds like they're playing some Power 5 foes. I think that was said on Sound Off.
Yep.
Okay.
During the coaches' caravan
Yes.
at Hardywood in Richmond, Virginia.
Okay.
I'll start with women's basketball. I love what Coach O does each year. Now, it seems like they haven't necessarily had the same level maybe the past couple of years, but generally, it seems like he goes out and tries to schedule some of the best opponents that he can. And he's getting back to that this year with some P5 teams. I'm excited for that. Should be some good tests. Hopefully the team comes together and hopefully the team plays like an experienced squad that I think they're capable of. And I'm very excited to see what these transfer point guards bring to the team because they need to cut down on those turnovers.
That's right. I think North Carolina State and Stanford were at least 2 of those Power 5s, if I remember.
Yeah. For men's basketball, my dream, excuse me, that was a good yawn. My dream out of conference matchups, Arkansas, Kentucky,
Sure.
Marquette, Gonzaga, UCLA, Duquesne.
Yeah.
Because Bronny James is going to transfer there.
Yeah. Well, I think he's staying in the draft, but throw Duquesne in anyway.
Throw Duquesne in for fun. Florida.
Throw in Duquesne under the impression that Bronny will be there, and then the lineup shows and be like, what the?
Alabama, UConn. I would, on a more serious note, all of those would be fantastic. And you said dream, Daniel, so I'm going to dream. I would love VCU. I would love a local North Carolina. I would love Charlotte. I would love
Charlotte's your dream at a conference matchup.
Okay, look, I'm going more realistic now. No,
My dream at
Moonsky, Vandy.
Yeah, of course.
Let's do
Louisville.
a revenge tour. Vandy, Indiana, ECU.
Morehead State.
No, they will not revenge on us. No.
That's a revenge game for Sprout.
Holy cross.
Treated very well by them. Good answers. Okay. Let's go to.
What a question from Cup Show.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
It's on the screen now. Please
Oh.
read it aloud.
Hell yes. Who do you think will win Ohio State, Michigan this year? Ohio State. I think Ohio State gets it, Ryan Day. What about you?
I think whoever the winner of that game is part of my dream out of conference matchup.
Unless he's talking hoops, in which I think Dusty May brought in some good transfers. So Michigan men's basketball, Ohio State women's basketball, Michigan softball, Ohio State football.
Okay. Next question.
Parlay it. This is from our guy, CL Nogs.
Features.
What?
Is that an L? I always thought it was an I.
It looks like an L on the hand, like the at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well. Anyway, how insanely dope would a Charlottesville regional with JMU in West Virginia be? Scale of Ramsey Bolton to Agent Stansfield.
You know who either
Yo,
of those
what?
people are? Who's Ramsey Bolton?
It says GOT. Is that a Game of Thrones thing?
Ramsey Bolton.
Or is
Okay,
it-
that's
it's the actor. Okay.
no, it's a fictional character.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
It's Lord Ramsey Bolton, born Ramsey Snow, was the legitimized bastard son of Rose Bolton, Lord of the Dreadfort, and the unidentified wife of a miller.
Be honest with you,
Duh.
I never got past a season.
I'm gonna be honest with you, I never even watched a single season.
So that one seemed like a good reference. The other one was
Agent Stansfield is portrayed by Gary Oldman. The corrupt and mentally DEA agent has been named as one of the greatest cinema's villains. What movie is he in? Oh, he's from Leon the Professional.
Is
What's that movie?
Is Ramsey Bolton considered like a loser?
I don't know.
Because the agent seems
This
like
podcast
dope, right?
has
So
gone-
would he be dope? The dopest level is the agent, and then
I think
Ramsey
so.
Bolton's the lowest.
I think
I don't
so.
know. You have to come up with a TV character in between those. That's your answer.
How insanely dope with the Charlottesville regional with JMU and UVA. Jake Peralta, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Oh my God, you don't watch that type of TV either?
No, I never seen that one. Although I think I would like it. Just okay, Eddie Semper. All right, good answer. Okay, from Craig Mack.
This podcast has just gone.
9-finger Craig with the ghost pinky. Will anyone from JMU Baseball get drafted? To which CL Noggs replied, yes. Fenwick Trimble's got to get drafted, right?
Yeah, I was looking at the roster just to get figure out the who's draft eligible, because baseball's so weird with draft eligibility. Because if you're a junior, you're draft eligible, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of guys. You got Mason Dunaway, Hunter Ensminger, Donovan Burke, Brendan O'Donnell, Fenwick Trimble.
Doesn't Vogotsky throw gas?
I think so.
Sometimes you get drafted if your ERA is like trash and you throw gas. So it's Mizuki throws some gas, if I'm not mistaken. They got some guys. They definitely. I would be surprised if they don't get anyone. And then Trimble just nukes the ball and he's 6'3", 200. So
yeah, and there's 20 rounds in the MLB draft.
Yeah, used to be like 150.
Yeah, 3 years post high school players are eligible. That's right.
Yeah, baseball's just weird.
So redshirt sophomores are also eligible.
And then you'll get drafted really high, and they'll be like, "This guy's the future," and then he spends like 4 years playing for teams with just absurd mascots before he becomes the future.
But you can
imagine
also
that if Caleb Williams had to play like arena league football for
3 years, developing his skills. That's my favorite.
He's
Let's
not
draft
ready
a high. I also think let's get on another side tangent here, because this is what this whole episode's been. Wouldn't it be better if you were going to draft a high school player who's supposed to be the future of your franchise to let them play 3 years at a college, like a high end, like Vanderbilt or Tennessee, where they have the budget to develop players?
You might not be able to draft them then.
Yeah, but you should be able to hold your rights onto that player for
You
those
think
3
you should
years.
draft them and then they're yours?
Yeah. It's better than them spending 3 years in Birmingham, Alabama, than to go to
But
Winston-Salem.
you
Then to
own
come
the
to
rights and you're not even paying them?
No, now that college you can pay.
So then you have
could
to pay them to go hit dingers for Vandy?
Yes.
You're not even selling minor league tickets?
Actually, I was about to say, who goes to minor league games to watch prospects? Me. It's what I do.
It's fun.
And Moonski, thank you, Moonski. That's what the NHL does. So
They do it in college even?
Yeah, NHL, you can draft the rights of a player and you hold their rights for a certain amount of years and they can go play college.
Huh. Okay. Well,
and their minor league system is
I don't like that. I like having
fine.
freedom. I like when a guy gets drafted by the Yankees
and is
and then
locked
he plays in
them.
college and then he gets drafted by the Cardinals. That makes more sense to me. I wish they did that in football. I want you to draft Caleb Williams. He's a Charger and then he's a Bear. What could have been?
I like it when NFL players get drafted, like Russell Wilson, Tom Brady.
Some of the draft picks are just insane, man.
I feel like once you get to like round 18, it's all for publicity.
They're just drafting guys who have tools. It's even worse than like the late rounds of the NFL draft. It's like this guy has.
Well, yes, because there's 13 more rounds.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What if they should start doing that? A lot more JMU guys would get picked if they did 50 NFL.
There used to be a lot of NFL draft rounds.
Why they cut it down?
How many draft rounds did there used to be?
It's a great pot.
Draft rounds were there. So the first draft was held in 1936. It's been held every year.
I want the people who call us snobby know-it-alls to count how many times we've Googled during this podcast.
Synogs, CL Nogs.
13.
I think it's an L now. 13, maybe 11. But yeah, there used to be a lot of rounds.
Yeah, see, that's crazy. I would like to go back to that, but you cut the teams in half.
So just make it impossible.
So it's basically a 7-round draft because like 16 picks per round or whatever.
Oh, I see.
And just do 14 so it seems longer, creates more content. But it's the same number of picks. That's
all right.
Work harder. No, work smarter, not harder. Work harder, not smarter.
Work harder, not smarter. And that's how this podcast is going to end. Anything else you got to add?
Looking forward to the baseball boys having a chance to compete out there.
By the time you listen to this, JMU Baseball will have already played, but the first pitch is scheduled for 9.
Listen to it live.
Oh, yeah, this is live. First pitch is scheduled for 9:11 Eastern. So set your alarms, get ready, lock in. For Bennett Conlon, I'm Jack Fitzpatrick. Thank you so much for tuning into the JMU Sports News Podcast presented by Bet Online. Check us out with our home on the web, jmusportsnews.com, and follow us on social media. We're at JMU Sports News, wherever you find us. See ya.
Thank you for listening to Believe. You can show support to your host by subscribing to the show and giving us a 5-star rating on your preferred platform. Check us out at Believe.com and search for BLEAV on YouTube.
You know when you're listening to a true crime story that has an unbelievable plot twist that makes you stop in your tracks? That's what our podcast, People Are the Worst, brings you with each episode. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Rebecca. We're identical twins who love true crime cases that make you say, didn't see that coming, and we hate the people responsible for them. Listen to People Are the Worst now on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.